Okay, welcome back to the podcast. Today's episode is going to be a little bit different. I'm here with Maya, and I actually have something I need to do for a class assignment that I am taking at Ryerson, and I need Maya here for it. I didn't necessarily have to record this for the podcast, but today when I was looking at everything and I started working on it, I was like, oh, this is such a thing that I want to record because I think it's there's a lot to learn from it, and there's a lot I've been learning from it. So first, I want to explain a video that I watched today that my professors assigned before I get into the main part of the podcast, and I'll also link the video in the show notes, and I'll send it to you after too, so you can watch it. I cried while I watched it because it was really cute, but maybe I've just been emotional lately. Okay, so this video is called An Experiment in Gratitude by the Science of Happiness, and it really talks about how much gratitude, if you show a lot of gratitude, it contributes to your overall happiness in life, which is really interesting because I've also been really into gratitude. I did a gratitude challenge in April, and I was really embarrassed about it for a long time after I did it for some reason. I don't know why, probably just because it was quarantine and mental health was a lot to take then. So anyway, I have practiced for a long time. Rachel Hollis always promotes doing in the morning, writing down 5 things you're grateful for, really small things you're grateful for every day that happened in the last 24 hours. And I haven't done the practice in a couple months, but it's really impactful. So I care a lot about gratitude. It's really important. And so that's also contributes to this whole thing. And anyway, back to the video experiment. In it, the experimenter, what's it called? The researcher got the participants to write a letter they told the participants to write a letter about the person who's been really influential in their life, and then they actually got them to call the person and read the letter to them. Wow. And people were obviously uncomfortable about it. Mm-hmm. And the study was able to measure the people's happiness before and after the experiment by getting them to do a questionnaire, and the people who wrote the letter but were unable to call them increased their happiness from 2 to 4%, so just a little bit. But those who could pick up the phone and call and actually read their letter to the person they're really grateful for, their happiness increased between 4 and 19%. So it's a huge jump. And then I found something really, really interesting is the person who experienced the greatest jump in happiness was actually the people who walked in who were least happy. So the people who were feeling the worst that day felt the greatest impact of happiness. So okay. I actually have to do this as a part of an assignment, and I thought it would be cute to record it too. Okay. I have to write a gratitude letter. Oh god. So I wrote it to Maya.
Okay. Oh, that's really cute. I cry.
Oh my god, I want you to cry.
Oh my god,
I actually cried while I wrote it a little bit. Yeah, because I had just cried watching the video, and then I wrote this, and it made me really happy, and then I cried.
Okay, I'm gonna cry.
Okay.
Just a disclaimer.
Yeah, okay, so I'm gonna... Okay. Oh, and then I get to, write a reflection after about this.
About, how you said it to me.
About how I said it to you, and kind of, the impact I felt, and, all of that.
Cool.
Okay.
I'm so excited.
Oh my god, I'm so nervous. It's such a vulnerable thing to do.
I know, I'm nervous, too.
And then it's a vulnerable thing, but it's, I'm recording it, so I'm just making it even more vulnerable for me.
True.
But it's okay.
Okay, go ahead.
Dear Maya, I'm writing this letter to express how grateful I am to have you in my life. This year, when I felt like my world was crashing down and I had no idea where to turn or what to do, I felt like you were there to pick me up. And not just once. Time and time again, when more hard things happened or sad feelings stuck, I felt like I could turn to you no matter what and you'd have my back. I felt like I could handle my hard feelings better because you would hold them with me just by sitting and listening. Not only that, you have been there for all the good and have only amplified it. You have given me the confidence and courage to go for my dreams and say fuck you to the people who may judge me or stand in my way. Even when those dreams meant moving across the country, which meant really being super far away from you. Despite how much it'll suck to be so far apart, you knew this was my dream and you've been my biggest supporter from the start. No matter where life takes us, I want you to always feel like home because in these last 8 months, that is exactly what you felt like to me. I'm so excited to continue this life with you and watch you grow into the woman you're meant to be. I'm so proud of all the growth and love you have radiated in this short time we have gotten so close. Thank you, I love you, and happy belated birthday because your birthday was yesterday.
Oh, that's so cute.
I love you.
Oh, that's so cute. Wow, that even makes me feel good. That makes me feel happy.
Yeah, because it's also so rare to write everything out that you're really grateful for someone. I love it.
Wow. Oh my god, so how do you feel?
I feel good because I also feel like I actually have vocalized to you quite a bit in the past couple months, how much when quarantine happened, Maya and I were literally just talking about this. We were talking about how grateful we are actually for quarantine and how, like, I said it changed my life.
Yeah,
and, like,
it changed my life too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, like, not even just because of quarantine we got a lot closer, but even, like, in January when, like, you know, like, we are some of the only people who stayed in Toronto and, like, didn't move away, and so we've seen each other throughout the year.
Yeah.
And then, like, for me, shit hit the fan in January, and, like, I just felt like I was always able to see you, and it was, like, a therapy session whenever I see you. And I also just wanted to talk about how much gratitude is so important in our life, and how I think it's hard to express it, but yeah.
Yeah, definitely. This goes back to the whole vulnerability thing. Like, even you saying how, like, even sharing the letter or whatever makes you, like, it's such a vulnerable thing. But it's good. Like, that's so nice. It makes me feel really good.
Yeah.
I feel the same way.
Yeah.
Obviously. But, that's so nice. And I just, like, aww.
And I feel like also, too, like, without you, I wouldn't have started the podcast. I wouldn't have, like, done all these things.
Really?
Yeah. No, I literally feel like without you, I wouldn't have started the podcast.
Really?
Yeah.
Like, you just wouldn't have the motivation, or, like, what?
I just wouldn't have had, like, the balls.
No, I think it's really good that you started it. And even if I personally, it'll be big. Like, it'll get really famous. But even if it doesn't, whatever. Like, it's still good to have conversations with people. It's still good to, like, even have it. But it'll get big, so don't worry.
Thank you.
But I know it in my heart.
Well, the ones because you're the best, because you're always like, guys, a podcast episode just came out with Jess, like, go watch it, go download it.
Yeah, like, I don't know. I like what we talk about, and I'm like, other people should go watch it. And even if it's not with me, like, I still like to listen to your podcast, and I'm like, hey, shit, like, this is good stuff. Like,
you always listen to it. I'm always like, oh my god, I love you. But I feel the same way about your blogs. Go read Maya's blog, because your posts are so good.
Thanks. But yeah, no, that's honestly same. Like, I wouldn't have started the blog if I wasn't, like, if me and you weren't this close. Like, I wouldn't. Honestly, I would be like, nah.
Okay, wait, then this kind of goes into, like, what I wanted to talk even with you about is, like, the 5 people you surround yourself by, or just surrounding yourself with people that, like, make you really happy and encourage you, because I feel like the past couple months, you and I have been able to be like, oh my god, I want to do this, and then the other person has been like, okay, why don't you do it? Just create it, make it.
Yeah. You know what, though? I think the hardest part is starting, for sure. And it's always like you have that judge, or like you're scared people are going to judge you, and you think that, like, there's just always the judgment there. But the thing is, I was reading a book or listening to a podcast, listening to an audiobook, I forget which one, but they were saying, or maybe it was a TikTok. Oh yeah, it was a TikTok. They were saying, they're like, honestly, everybody is more concerned about what other people think of them, and like, you think you're the one who you think about how people are thinking of you more than they actually think about you. Yeah. It's so true. Yeah, so it's like, whatever, people may hate on you or, like, judge you or whatever, but at the end of the day, who cares? Like, like, it only goes so far as to, like, you probably think that they're judging you more than they are, you know?
And, like, we think about ourselves way more than we think about other people.
Exactly.
So, like, literally what you said, the fact that we're so concerned about what other people think is that, like, most of the time they don't care. Yeah. And that should be encouraging and not, like, a sad thing, because you're like, oh, yeah, they don't care about me, blah, blah, blah. But really it's, like, because they don't care, live your life and literally do whatever the hell you want.
Exactly. And it's good. And even going back to the surrounding yourself with the right people and stuff, like, it's so important to actually do that. And even just cutting out negative people or, like, toxic people who actually don't, who are like, oh yeah, I do support your dreams, but then they actually don't, and they're like, oh, I don't really care, like, no, you shouldn't do that, that's not a good idea, you should do this instead, you know? Like, those types of people, you're like, okay, I mean, I don't really, like, that's not what I want to do, and, like, I don't know, it's good to have a support system, and like, people who will be there even if your stuff fails, or even if like something bad happens. But so many people have dreams and they just don't go for it, just because they either, one, don't have the right support system, they don't think that they can do it, but they don't have people telling them that they can, you know? So.
I feel like that's the biggest part. It's like, just because people are telling us we can't, we don't have people telling us we can. Like, that's the biggest thing that I feel is, like, so encouraging, is to, like, be honest and, like, vulnerable enough to, like, tell someone what you really want to do, and then have them be, like, not just, like, oh, cool, because I feel like that's really common to, like, express yourself, and they're like, oh, cool. And, like, Lena and I talked about in that episode about our parents, is that, like, telling your parents your dreams, they're kind of like, okay, and then you're like, that, like, I don't want to do it now. But I think it's, like, so powerful to have, like, just be like, that's sick, go for it.
And, like, it's hard to find people like that, though. It's hard to find people who will actually, I guess, motivate you to do it too, or who will tell you to go for your dream, you know what I mean? But when you do, it's great.
And like, it's so worth it.
Yeah.
And it's like, we can create so much. And like, even getting together and talking about like podcasts and books and like all that stuff that's so exciting and so good. It like it just makes life so much more fun when it's like kind of about like even like expressing gratitude towards each other, like expressing shared excitement with each other makes life just so much better and like increases our happiness like so much.
Yeah. And then even reflecting on the people that you surround yourself with, and even like this letter and everything, and just like the video, I'm sure too was like probably very impactful and stuff, but even just like being grateful and just like taking a step back and being like, wow, like this person or these people, like they're the ones who have been there all like the whole time, and like they're the ones who motivate me and who actually like make me believe that I can do it, and you're just so grateful for those people, and you're like, wow, I can't believe I ever like settled kind of for anything less. Yeah.
And I'm kind of like scared to like go meet new people because I'm about to like meet so many new people, and I'm scared to just like, I'm like, okay, quarantine is like showed me, and like I'm sure showed you too, that we should be exactly who we want to be.
Yeah.
But it's like, now it's gonna be put to the test when you meet new people, and you have to be that like, hey, like this is what I'm doing and I love it, and you can totally tear it down or you can totally not be as excited, but to just not let that stop us.
Yeah, I mean, people are always gonna hate on you, like no matter what. It's just who we all are. Like, I mean, people are always going to judge you for something, or they're going to find something to judge you for.
But there's so much more to do with them than yourself.
Oh my God, for sure. It has so much more to do with them and their own issues. And honestly, I used to be like, nah, that's not true. Like, no, because I used to do that. I used to be like, oh, that person's like so weird because they have a blog. Like, I don't know. But now I'm like, go do whatever you want. Like, honestly, who cares? Like, people don't really care about what you're doing. They talk about it once, twice, maybe, and then they're like, hey, she's gonna keep doing it, he's gonna keep doing it, so whatever. And if it's not impacting you in any direct way or like hurting you in any way, who are you to stop them from doing that, you know?
Especially when you're like wanting to do things that are so positive and like can actually help people or empower people. And like, I love what about the letter too is when I wrote it, I remembered very distinct times that we've hung out and very distinct conversations we've had that I felt like impacted our friendship so much in such a positive way and made me so happy. Like, I distinctly remembered when like you came over to my house and we were drinking and we talked about like our dreams, and I felt like that was like a huge turning point in our friendship where we were like, oh my God, we have so many of the same interests and passions, like why aren't we doing them? And once we got the support from each other, it was like, let's go for it. Yeah, no, for sure. I distinctly remember that too. And my memory is terrible, but that I specifically remember that because I was sitting there, or I went home and I'm like, wow. I'm like, I didn't know that you felt that way. Like, I didn't know that that's what, like, I knew that you wanted to start a podcast because we talked when we went to Centennial and everything, and like, whatever. Even with your blog, I knew that you had a blog and everything, and I'm like, oh wow, pretty cool, but whatever. Yeah. But then when we talked, like when we sat down and I went home, I'm like, wow, like we both are just like trying to do things, but we both haven't gone for it just because we don't think that we can, or like we don't think that it'll go well or whatever. But that's why I'm like so grateful for you, because I feel like we were able to hype each other up and just like not even hype each other up, but just give each other the support and confidence we needed to just do it and not care about what other people think. And I'm so proud of how like you've literally like created your blog and been on the podcast and like have had people judge you for it, and you were like, I don't care, they're just creating more downloads for the podcast, they're helping me monetize my blog, like thank you for just tuning in. Like, you know? You know what though, I mean, I'm not even gonna lie with that, like obviously it sucked when I first heard about it, and like, you know, but honestly at the end of the day, that's their own problem, and they are giving you views, they're giving me views. I like, it's not, I don't care, like I genuinely don't care, and I don't even surround myself with those types of people anymore anyways, and like I only want people who are positive and like beneficial to my life, you know. I don't want to be like torn down with negativity and stuff, and like, I don't know, I mean, I like your podcast a lot, and I'm proud of honestly where it's even come from the beginning. Like, I know it's been like 2 months or something. This is like, I actually am releasing my 10th episode this week. What? Isn't that crazy? Wait. Well, because I think it's been a month. I think it's been just over a month. I released it in the last week of July. Wow. That's crazy. And I was even thinking like, it's so much work to edit and create, and it's easy to like stop, but it's so just like fulfilling to sit here and have these conversations that it's just so worth it for me. And honestly, I mean,
every single time I see you, you're like, oh, this is how many downloads this has. This, da, da, da.
Yeah.
I'm like, yo, that's so awesome.
Even today, what you said about your blog and how many views it's had, I was
yeah,
like, holy shit.
I know. But, like, even still, though, like, and we thought that nothing would come out of it. That's the thing. Like, we were sitting there, I remember, and we're like, oh, I don't know if we should. Like, I don't know. Who knows if it'll reach anyone or who knows, whatever. I honestly don't even care. Like, if it gets monetized, it gets monetized. If it doesn't, it doesn't. It, like, hopefully it reached at least one person, you know? Yeah,
exactly. I was thinking, like, if this helps one person, then it's all worth it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I'm like,
and honestly, reading your blogs helped me. So
yeah, there you go. I like listening to your podcast. They help me. I feel very, like, it's good. You know what? Honestly, listening to podcasts when I'm, like, driving to work or something, I'm like, you know what? This makes me feel like you're in the car with me, you know?
Oh my god, that's really cute. I didn't know you listened to them on the way to work. Oh
no, I listen to them all the time. I have a few to catch up on still, but like they're in my queue.
That's what happens when you post twice a week.
You know what though? Jesus. It's good. Somebody like they always have something to listen to.
It's true. It's true. Well, I'm grateful for you.
I'm grateful for you too.
And I'm so happy you're always on the podcast.
Of course.
And
anytime.
I love how like you always listen to the podcast and I always read your blogs and it's like I think just because we just like genuinely enjoy it, which is the best.
Yeah, of course.
So tune into Maya's blog, obviously, after we talked about it for like 18 minutes. And I'm excited for the future.
I know, same.
Make sure everybody subscribes on Apple Podcasts, rate and review the podcast. And if you're interested in being on it, visit my Pick My Brain profile. It's in the show notes. And follow Munchies by Maya on Instagram. Yeah. Read her blog. I will link it as well. And see you every Tuesday and Friday.
Yay! Woo!